You make my high come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me tried to marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they finished change. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip. Yeah, you
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael-Shawn You guys can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My at name has not changed. At Mike Dugar, that is MikeDugar. Shout out to everyone who is watching or listening via our YouTube channel. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of the channel. Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel. Even if you are someone who consumes us on our audio platforms, we really appreciate that love and support. Also, follow us on TikTok. Seahawks Man to Man is the handle on there, and on Instagram. Seahawks Man to Man is the handle there as well. Thank you in advance for all of those things. Chris, go ahead and talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Twitter at CKIDD206, and that is CKID206.
All right. This is our special one big thing episode. After Chris and I have poured over the film, you guys can perhaps, those who are watching on YouTube, you can probably see I just took a sip of a beer. That is the second time I have watched the Seahawks this week and have been persuaded to have a drink. It is that it's not like bad is not the word. It's just frustrating. And we'll get into why both of us will. So we watched the tape. It was frustrating to watch. We each have one thing we want to discuss from it. Chris, do you want to go first, or am I setting it off? It's up to you.
Yeah, I got it, man. I can go first. So,
all right.
Yeah, the film. Yeah, it exactly what we saw on TV. It just sucked, as Mike mentioned, to rewatch that nastiness because the offense was just wow. 45 minutes of this is a dud. Just bad. Nothing good. There were a couple cool plays like, oh, that's a nice little formation. Oh, it's a great play. And followed up by more nasty stuff that happened throughout the game that I don't need to rehash. But instead of going with some plays or a specific aspect of the game, I felt, you know what? Let me go back and listen to some press conferences, see what Coach Mike Macdonald has to say, see if any players said anything that was of interest. And when I went back and watched the press conference from October 28th, so that was Monday, earlier this week, Mike Macdonald was asked by Greg Bell, the Tacoma News Tribune. He asked him straight up, hey, what can you hang your head on as a football team? What do you guys do that is good? And I thought that was a fair question, just because through 8 weeks, you're 4-4, you don't have a running game consistently, the passing offense is up and down, the defense has the same issues in the trenches, you're making trades midseason to try to get better in certain areas and aspects of the game. So I thought, yeah, that's a great question. I wonder what Mike Macdonald's going to say. And, it starts in all three phases, but we'll start with offense. So here's what Mike Macdonald had to say about the Seahawks offense and what exactly they are good at, or what is their strength right now through 8 weeks. And here's what Mike Macdonald said.
Gives us an edge is how we move and shift and formation and vary tempos. And so I think that's something that we need to double down on, and we'll do that. I think the run game can come alive in some of those things.
Did you guys catch that? I hope you did. If you didn't, one thing that he mentioned that gives them an edge is how the Seahawks move and shift in their formations and tempo. We haven't seen much of that. Why? Because they've been playing from behind. You can't really go no huddle. You can, but there's a chance of mistakes that can happen when you're no huddling, false start penalties, all those things that keep happening with the Seahawks throughout the game. Now you're doing up tempo when you're down 17 points, trying to make a big play, and you make mistakes. You're prone to make mistakes. Not that you're not beforehand, but there's more of a effort to, for instance, I'll use that as an example. A good example to do a hurry up offense would be as soon as you get a first down. So let's say it's 3rd and 3 and you come out in 11 personnel. The defense says, you know what, we're going to come out in nickel. You run for a first down. Now is a chance to catch the defense off guard, no substitutions, and you hurry up. And you can maybe catch them and pass it. Or you can run it again because it's a new set of downs and now you're hurrying it up. Maybe let's say it's 3rd and 8 and you have 11 personnel and you go empty this time. So Ken Walker's outside as a receiver. And the defense says, yeah, we know you're a passing in this scenario, and they go dime, but you're still in 11 personnel. You get the first down, right? And now you know huddle. You catch him in dime. Now you can try to run the football. They got 6 DBs out there. I like the odds of having, I don't know, a couple of receivers being able to block their assigned player, that whoever's out there, whether it be a cornerback, nickelback, safety. I like the advantage there. Even a lineman getting out or tight end getting out and blocking. So that's kind of where my mind started rolling. Like, okay, they can definitely do those things, but you obviously have to be better in early downs too, right? And that's using motion. That's being able to use guys in motion to run the football, set up play action. There was a really cool play. I think it was Jake Bobo's only catch on Sunday against the Buffalo Bills. I'm pretty sure it was only catch. It was a play action pass. They had Ken Walker. It was an empty formation. Ken Walker was on the outside, maybe 5 yards off of the left tackle. So that'll be Charles Cross. Maybe a little further. Nonetheless, Gino brings him in motion, and it looks like it could be a run play. Very creative. Cool. It's a play action pass. Then you have Jake Bobo, who comes across the middle. Obviously, the linebackers did what, guys? They bid up on the run. They all jump forward because they want to be able to stop the run game because Ken is very explosive. So they jump up into the box to try to make a play. Oh, it's pass, pass, pass. They retreat. Too late. Jake Bobo is open across the middle. Gino fires a dart. You could have let him. I don't want to be nitpicky here, but it's a completion. It's a first down. Those are just small details that I think they're going to have to do more and more of if they want to have a consistent offense, because right now what they're doing is just so all over the place. And again, once you get behind, yeah, you can do no huddle, but it just becomes, okay, you have to be perfect, because what happens if someone false starts, which obviously shouldn't happen as much. You're at home, but those are the things that can happen when you're no huddle. Guys get tired. Okay, you're going to hold. So it's important that they get a nice lead, and then they can attack the defense and try to hurry them up. And as I mentioned, catch them off guard. You come out in 11 personnel. It's 3rd and 8. You get the first down. That defense probably went dime, depending on it. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they are a nickel. But now you have an advantage to get the first, go no huddle, and attack them with a run and or pass. They got to respect both. New set of downs. They obviously want to get off the field. So that's kind of where I'm looking at and saying that is definitely my one big thing. How are they going to attack the Rams on Sunday? I want to see how much motion they use. I'm curious to see, Mike Macdonald said in the presser, formations, motion, those are some of our strengths. Those are some of the things we are good at. Okay, double down on that on Sunday. Use it. Try to use it. What more could you do, right? It could get worse, but hopefully it doesn't. That would be bad. But that was my one big thing from watching the tape, listening to press conferences, listening to some of the players talk. So that's my one big thing from Sunday's loss against the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, my one big thing after watching the film and having to drink some IPAs afterwards is the fundamentals. I really, I've cited a few times the fundamentals on both sides of the ball, but I want to focus mostly on defense with a sprinkle of offense. The fundamentals are what the defense was doing really well during that 3-game win streak. And it's not just that they were playing teams that are underwhelming offensively. Does it help to play Bo Nix in his first start? Of course. Does it help to play Jacoby Brissett? Of course. Does it help to play the combination of Skylar Thompson and Tim Boyle? Of course it does. But you can lose to any of those type of teams. All of those teams have won games since. The Dolphins have won a game without Tua. I think they beat the Patriots maybe, or the Colts or something. And the Broncos have won several games since then. I think they're like 5-3. And the Patriots have won as well. They just beat the Jets with Jacoby Brissett. So it's not as just those teams are just garbage and they can't beat anyone. To beat those teams, to beat good teams or bad teams, you have to be good at the fundamentals. And on defense, that's what they were doing really well. It wasn't just they were kicking the opponent's butt because the opponent didn't have talent. It was fundamentals. It was being in the right gaps. It was taking the right angles in the run game. It was setting edges in the run game. And I mean, it was being disciplined. They weren't penalized a ton. Now the penalties are racking up. I think in the first 3 weeks, Spoon was the only guy on defense committing penalties. for the most part. Not everybody is. You got Reek committing penalties. Hankins just jumped randomly off sides in the neutral zone, just for no reason. I don't even think it was a hard count on that. D Hall with the roughing, it just feels like they're just stacking up on the undisciplined, which is part of the fundamentals as well. Even Josh Jobe, I understand Keon Coleman drove him into the bench. That's not what's up. He pushed him back, so you get the roughing call. But then those calls offset each other, though, right? So instead of Keon's flag, now we flag on you too. So now it's like it didn't happen, So the fundamentals on defense just feel like they've gone by the wayside. There's not a lot of busted coverages, which is interesting, which is usually what you see on a bad defense. To Mike Macdonald, getting asked, what do you guys do well on defense? I would say that they do two things really well. They pressure the quarterback really well, and they cover non-play action dropbacks really well. If it's not play action, they're just strapping up. Like with top 5 team, I think, on non-play action dropbacks. They can cover, no matter who's in the game, generally. It's play action where they're just awful. So they do those kind of two things really well. But everything else, it just really is a lack of fundamentals. It's just bad tackling, a lot of bad angles, a lot of guys not working together, not like understanding, all right, I take this angle, knowing that my man got my back, there's no edges being set with any consistency. It's here and there, but those are all the things they were doing well. So like when people reference the Seahawks 3-0 start and how their defense was playing well, it's not just, we played insert them. Like that does matter, but the reason they beat the snot out of some of those teams is because they were doing the fundamentals really well. And those are the things that Chris and I thought would translate, particularly the tackling. Usually you don't just suddenly get bad at tackling, but that's exactly what has happened. They were nails for a little bit, and then they just stopped. I've never seen that. I've seen teams just never get good at it or start bad at it and then maybe improve. But I've very rarely seen a team start off good at tackling and then get worse at it, dramatically worse, which is what's happened to the Seahawks. The gap integrity has been all over the place in the last like 5 weeks. Even in the games they won, it's been all over the place. It's just the basic stuff, the fundamental stuff. And it stands out to me as one big thing because that is what Mike Macdonald was supposed to be good at, among other things. Like we knew he was blitz guy and had all these coverages, disguises, and everything. But the only way you can get to unleashing that stuff is if you're good at the fundamentals on early downs. Because Chris, the Seahawks are one of the worst teams in the league on early downs. On first and second down, they're like 30th in EPA per play, ahead of only, I believe, the Panthers and the Cowboys. That means the other team they're out coaching you, generally, is what that means when you're that bad. And they are they're beating with the fundamentals. Guys getting off blocks, that's another one. Block shedding, tackling, edge setting, all of this stuff has just gone by the wayside. And that stuff is not really about scheme. It's not even about whether the opponent has their quarterback. Because a lot of times when you're talking about edge setting, angles, tackling, that's just you and the man in front of you. It's just really, it's a perfect example. Chris gave an example. I'll give one too. Thank you for doing that, Chris. James Cook's first rushing touchdown. It's great. The line slants inside. Jay Reed does. And then Tyrell Dodson has a straight bead to James Cook. James Cook sees that, stops in the hole, is like, I got to bounce this. Well, he bounces it untouched because Draymond doesn't set anything close to an edge going against left tackle Deion Dawkins, and he walks in. You can see it on the film. Tyrell Dodson looks and he's like, well, damn, dog. Where's my edge? You look like, and then Reek doesn't set an edge either. So there's just no edge to the right of the defense. And he just walks in. And that's just basic stuff. That don't got nothing to do with scheme. That has nothing to do with Josh Allen. That doesn't have anything to do with home or the road or whether you're up or down in the game. That is very simple. You're on the edge. Set it. It's fundamental. It doesn't matter if Pete's the coach, Chris is the coach, Mike Macdonald's the coach, Chris Berman's the coach. It does not matter. Set the edge. Very simple assignment. Now, you're not always going to make every play. The other team gets paid too, but the Seahawks went from like, these are just random numbers, but they went from like doing the fundamentals well 80% of the time to doing them about, I would say, like 30% of the time. It's just so many plays where guys aren't doing very basic stuff that they were doing earlier in the season. It's one thing if they had just sucked at it all year. We've seen that before, where teams are just not good at something, right? But these guys were good at the things, the basics of things, and then just stopped. That is so weird to me. That I don't know if that's a reflection of like mental, maybe the coaches are getting tuned out. I'm really not Sure. Me and Chris have looked at some plays, whether for our one big thing or post game or standout plays, where guys are just lined up wrong. Like they're beat pre-snap. James Cook's second touchdown. There's like no one, I think, in like the A gap. Well, that's a problem. It was a run up the gut. I think they pulled the left tackle into that gap. But either way, whether they pulled someone there or just ran it there was no one there. Now maybe that's just Ernest Jones doesn't, he just got here. That could be him. But they had lineup issues before he got here. So those are that's the basic fundamental stuff I'm talking about that they were doing before. Sometimes it literally is just you guys are lined up in the wrong spot, or multiple guys in the same run gap, or guys taking bad angles or doing stuff like there was a Chris, I'm sure you saw in the film. James Cook had an 18-yard run. That should have been like a 7-yard run, but it's not because Spoon doesn't go for the tackle. He goes to try to punch the ball out from behind, and in doing so, he takes out Reek Woolen, and then that it leads to more yardage. That's a very simple aspect of playing the game. Get the guy with the ball on the ground. If there's multiple guys there, then you punch at it. But that's the example. Fundamentals. Get the guy on the ground first. That's your primary job. Spoon's good at forcing fumbles, but that was an instance of he sacrificed going for the ball, or he went for the ball at the expense of getting the guy on the ground. And I think someone misses a tackle there too. Might be Jay Love, but the point is they could have stopped an explosive, but went for something that they had been getting guys on the ground earlier. It was so good. It was so weird, Chris, to watch these last few weeks. This game in particular was just really bad fundamentals. It felt like Buffalo wasn't doing anything out of the ordinary or like creative. It was very simple. They were play action in our early downs. When they got behind the sticks, they ran screens to get back ahead of the sticks. And then they had third and medium, and they either threw something short or Josh Allen ran it. Their game plan was very simple. It was very simple stuff. And then sometimes on third and long, they found where Josh Jobe was and threw it at his guy. It was probably the simplest game plan I've seen kick Seattle's ass, like in terms of like just simplicity. I know they've lost before, but just doing that was their entire game plan. What I just said, I summed it up in 10 seconds because that's exactly what it did. Nothing other than what I just said. I promise you, it was play action, screens, Josh Allen on short yardage or something short on short yardage, and then throw it to whoever Josh Jobe is guarding. That was the entire game plan, and it worked to perfection. Like the only way that can work is if you're not doing basic stuff. And yeah, that was very disappointing. And I guess I end this, Chris, with something positive. I do think that stuff that can change.
That's true.
I don't think that requires huge schematic or personnel adjustments. It really is just, hey man, you need to set the edge. Can you do that? Yes or no? If the answer is no, I will sit you down. And then Chris, honestly, there might be some guys that need to sit down. There might be. That was if we had a too big thing. Nah, for real. That might be thing number 2, man. We kind of hinted at it after the Falcons game. I was like, I don't think 17 needs to play anymore. And then he got traded away right after that. I feel the same way about 55 currently. Like if he got sat down, I wouldn't be confused, and Mike Macdonald said it's an open competition to see who's going to be the other corner. I watched the tape. I don't think there should be. Put Trey Brown back there until he screws up. So I saw nothing from 29 to say, I trust you to go out there against Matt Stafford. I don't. Because he was getting targeted all day. He had the pick. The pick was great. But as you mentioned on the postgame show, if Amari Cooper doesn't fall down trying to run the slant, it's probably just a PPE. Good on Josh. That was a great play. It's a good play. But there was so many other bad ones. There were like 4 bad ones for that one good one. He was getting beat by everybody. Shakur, Coleman. Like it was not great. So I just think he's another guy who committed a penalty, by the way, too, Josh. So I think they got to get back to doing the basic stuff. And that's, Chris, probably the only, as bad as I'm making it sound, I do think that is perhaps something that could be spun positively, which is maybe why Mike Macdonald in that same press conference sounded optimistic. Because you can just have guys do their fundamentals better, in particular because we've seen him do it. Mike is not asking them, hey, do something we've never seen you do before. No, we've seen everybody tackle. We've seen everybody set edges. We've seen everybody be in the right gap. So just do what you were doing before. I think that's the easier coaching point, which I guess is perhaps a good thing, Chris, because at first I was thinking they might have to just nix this whole scheme. This is not working. Yeah. But I actually think the scheme is fine. It just when you're not doing the fundamentals, no scheme works. You could be running cover 6, 9, 3, 2, 0, 1. It don't matter what. If guys don't get off blocks, which is a huge issue at the second level, guys, by the way.
Ooh,
That's
Lord.
that's I don't know how coachable that one is. That just it's yeah, 0
light
and 13 there. Yeah. I'm worried about I wouldn't sit down 0, but I can see why they were like, we need to get another linebacker in.
Hey, yo, KJ, you still want to play? Oh, you said you might? Oh, we'll pay you double what you making right now with the Niners. Make it triple, bro. Oh, you good? Okay. We're gonna bring you in the practice squad, but then we're gonna elevate you ASAP. Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, that's
I
it's
might
it's
take
not
KJ.
yeah, no.
You want to play?
Now there's some plays. The more I watch football, I'm not a huge NFL combine person, but Chris, I'm starting to see. You can see in real time why they do some of the stuff they do, why they measure arm length, why they have guys test their strength on the bench press. For the linebackers in particular, and actually anyone trying to get off a block, like your ability to get your arm on the guy first and get him off of you. Like Ernest Jones was actually pretty good at that. That was another like 3 big thing. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but yeah, Chris, I'm trying to be positive because I had no positive stuff, but I was just like, if you can do the fundamentals well, I think they can save their season by literally, Chris, tackling better. I think the whole season changes, like literally the entire thing. You go from like maybe being a 6-11 team to 11-6, literally if you just tackle better and get off blocks. I'm combining those. Like it could really be that simple. The team being better if they do those things. It's so crazy how obvious that is by watching them on defense on tape.
Well, Sunday, don't miss tackles. Add some motion to your game. No huddle offense. Try to bring that back. And maybe we're bringing to you guys, oh, we got our one big thing correct. They did all those things and they won by, but they just won. I don't care how many points. They won. That's where it starts, right? Did you get a W in the win and loss column? That's all that matters. So that has been our one big thing. Because I screwed some things up, we're going to have to redo our portion with Jordan. But you know what? Mike and Jordan are so kind. And they're like, Chris, we got you. We could do it again. So on Thursday, you guys will see our conversation with Jordan Brog-Reed, who covers the Los Angeles Rams for The Athletic. So without further ado, enjoy the rest of the week. We will talk to you guys a few days later. Again, with Jordan Rodriguez, she covers all things Rams. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
I appreciate you guys tapping in. All the love and support is much appreciated. Make sure you like and subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Audacity, maybe. I don't know. Every audio platform that podcasts are. We're probably there. Blue Wire, shout out to the new company. Liking, subscribing, those little gestures mean so much to us. They help us with numbers and everything and keep the pod going. So really appreciate it. Like Chris said, we'll be back with our preview show with the homie Jordan Rodriguez later in the week. You guys have a good one. We'll catch you next time. Peace.